Cool. This is Jim Armour, and we're at Tennessee Pewter, and we're going to get a little example of some metal spinning. Here's an example of a few pieces. The forms. What do you estimate that machine was made? Probably in the 40s?
Yeah, at least. At least. It was inherited too. This is all inherited equipment.
Sure. This will be an interesting... So that was truing the piece up?
Right, see, then getting it centered.
Cool. Just tighten up the tailstock. Now, do you use your craft mark at the end? Is that to cover up any marks made from the tailstock?
No, you're talking about
the stamp they do?
Stamp. I'll put it on some of the pieces. This piece has a stem that attaches to it and makes it a little bit hard getting it positioned to where you're not covering it up once you put the stem on there.
I see. So this is going to be a goblet.
Right.
Cool. Soap, wax, something like that?
This is just straight up soap, Fells naphtha soap.
Lubricant?
We've used beeswax, which is messy, won't come out of your clothes. People use axle grease, toilet bowl wax rings.
Sure.
They make their own
Those
stuff.
work great for dry
tallow,
screw.
you name it. They may probably use it as a lubricant.
And we're guessing this is also how cymbals are made in drums. Totally manipulated. Totally a physical, quite a physical approach to working metal as you look at Jim wrestle this tool. And what is that tool? Does that have a specific name?
I think it's a 3/4 inch. They go by the width of the tip.
I see.
And now we're going to lay it down onto the tool itself.
So that's pushing it onto the form.
Right.
And the form always has to be conical or square. You can't be inverse.
It has to be smaller here than here, or you have to have a sectioned chuck.
Right. Okay. Or like
it comes out like pieces of an orange, which we have several of those.
Huh. Like an expanding arbor, I think is what it looks like. It almost does all the polishing at the same time.
And you hear that noise?
Is that chatter?
Got a little waviness out on the edge. We'll have to fix that.
Incredible.
It gets worse as you go on.
Now, why are you using the 2 pins there? Oh.
Because I'm going to iron this.
And the other pin is a cotton picker tooth.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. My dad used to use those for punches.
That's a pretty tough piece of steel.
Incredible. Sometimes you see lights, reflectors for regular lights, they're done like this also.
Nose spinners for propellers and things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Never thought about that one. Yeah, once I found out that was actually pressed over a form. The first time I probably read about it, I didn't realize there was a form, and I didn't get it at all. And when I found out that there was an opportunity to come see it here in Tennessee, as I was over here, I said, well, I'm going to investigate a little more. And I started realizing there was a form that was being followed. That is incredible. on this other side and see if I can. So do you actually feel the form underneath it, Jim, as you're pressing up against it?
Yeah, you can hear the different the sound. is
Really?
different.
So there's not much tolerance between the two? It's almost perfect fit?
Just about.
Wow.
Trim so they may come over.
Sure. So that looks just almost like a conventional cutting tool of a lathe, metal lathe.
Yeah,
In fact, it is.
It is.
Yeah, exactly. Very interesting approach to the manual cutting of the metal. And typically gloves aren't encouraged on lathes, but I've noticed in the metal spinning art, they seem to do that.
The guy that I learned under didn't use one. But it's nasty work.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I noticed on the other videos that I've watched of it, people do it, but I know in our stuff they say never to do it.
Starting out, I used a Kevlar gun.
Really? Like a fish, for cutting?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Before I kind of knew what was going to happen.
Before you got cut a few thousand times?
Right. Because these things here sometimes they'll have jagged edges on them. You can't see them, but that's what'll make it pick them up like that when you have to stop, pull those things off.
So I'd say, it takes a little bit of polishing, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, Kathleen will take it. I'll go over it with a 320 grit. And then Kathleen will take it back there on the buffer. And
so you don't polish it on the same lathe?
No. Now, if I were going to put, the guy that I learned with used a 3M pad.
Scotch-Brite?